It's like me and Sean are twins.
Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable being twins?
Look, we look like the same. I gotta go to sleep. Alright, ready, Sean? Rock to the side. Then to the other side. Oh, come on, Sean. We should be like talking about.
Sorry about that, Michael. What's up?
We are live. You are listening to Extinct, the podcast. I am Ro Sahibi from TheBigfootReport.com. With me, as always, from TaserBigfoot.com, he is Damien Bravo. How you doing today, Damien? From the Bigfoot Evidence blog, we have with us, as always, Mr. Sean Evidence. What's happening, Sean? And our man in command, head honcho over at Team Taser, Mr. Snowwalker Prime himself, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Merchant. How you doing today? Now, today's show, there was a little bit of heat working up to today's show. There was some question whether or not, we could actually make this happen. There was some, just from the difficulties with the connection to personality conflicts, to misinformation, to conflict of opinion. But today with us, we have a couple of people. First, I want to introduce someone who's new to me, Miss Lori Simmons. She joined.
Hello, thank you guys for having me on
thank
your
you
show
for joining
today.
us. She joins us via cell phone, so we don't have her image on the screen for everyone out there in podcast land. And then the next gentleman is a special treat for me. Anyone who has followed what I have done with my YouTube channel will know that the very first person I sought out to collaborate with was this gentleman here. His name is Adam Davies. I first saw him on a Nat Geo special about the, I believe it was taking place in Siberia, was it, Adam, where you were chasing the Almasty, and as well there was an episode with the Mongolian death worm, as was another.
Yeah, and then I've been to Russia and Congo. I'm so for your show.
Oh, we can hear
that does sound better.
All right, so everybody out there who's listening, we now, in order to prove Adam's reception, we have forced him to stand in the rain with his cell phone. So hopefully everyone out there can hear him better now. All right. Well,
you're a rotten lot. I tell you what, I look like I'm dripping wet in the dark outside in the rain.
But you may be wet, but you sound better now.
You're a man who doesn't know.
It couldn't have been much nicer out there looking.
People with small dogs are looking at me strangely as the weird man.
And
rain,
he's talking about Bigfoot to top it all off.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't get any more surreal on a Sunday night.
Well, for the record, everyone can hear you a whole lot better now. So let's start that over. I would like to introduce you to somebody. Mr. Michael Merchant, I would like you to meet Mr. Adam Davies. Okay. Mr. Adam Davies, Mr. Michael Merchant.
Pleasure to meet you,
Hello,
Adam.
Michael.
Okay.
Yeah, pleasure, Michael.
I have to say, Adam, I've been following, Ro speaks very highly of you. I know I just told you this when we were off the air, but Ro has been bragging you up for the last couple of months, and I am super excited about, the possibility of ordering Pentag down there in Sumatra. I think it's really a good spot for it.
Yeah, Michael, I think we are very close. Because of what I've been doing over the last 7 years. First of all, when I first got there, I travelled all over the country, and then I narrowed it down based on the eyewitness sightings and the reports I'd had to a couple of areas where I thought there was a concentration of activity. Now, based on that research, we went up there and working with great researchers like Debbie Marter and Jeremy Holden, who are excellent people. I mean, really great wildlife photography Jeremy is. We found this concentration of areas, and what we've done is we've got, working with expert local trackers, we've got hair samples on a number of occasions. The first time it was analysed by Hans Brunner, who did the Dingo Baby case with Lindy Chamberlain. So it was kind of good enough for the Australians in a murder case, and he said the structural integrity of the hair was completely different to any of the known species. After that, we've worked with other guys like Todd Satel and Professor Brian Sykes, and Professor Brian Sykes has now got a sample which he's analysing at the moment. So we're trying to extract DNA from that, to try and prove its existence. Why are we doing that? Because I know that and anybody can look at this objectively, I know that the ecosystem there is under enormous pressure through illegal logging, and I want to try and prove it. I mean, I've seen the rainforest ripped down, and it's been thousands of pounds of my own time and my own money. It's tangentially led to a divorce, my personal divorce.
Now, Adam,
it's been my passion for years,
Adam,
I feel.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know about you, but haven't they also collected a fair number of interesting footprint casts from this critter?
Yeah, I've got one, and that one was analysed by a primatologist at Cambridge, Dr. Chivers, and also by Jeff Meldrum as well. And they came back as unknown species. Yeah, absolutely. And it's very interesting because, as you know, an orang has a longer heel. This has a short heel and quite square toes. It's definitely bipedal. It seems to be diurnal. It's a fascinating creature. I don't think its tool use is any more sophisticated than, say, a chimpanzee. So we're not looking for some sort of missing link or any weird wild man crap. This is a genuine bipedal ape that lives in the jungle, which is extremely rare, which is under serious pressure of being extinct very, very soon.
Now, has anybody captured any compelling photographs of this creature?
No, not to the best of my knowledge, no. And I think I'd know about it because I'm pretty well known in the research. So no, I mean, and that was Jeremy's biggest torture, I think, and I really felt for him because he's a really good wildlife photographer, and he saw the orangutan one.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Jeremy has in the past photographed new species, has helped establish new species with his photographs. So when he says he sees something, it's pretty credible.
Oh yeah, Jeremy's totally credible. You're absolutely right. I mean, he's found new species in Burma recently. I'm sure you know about that. He's in my view, he's the most underrated cryptozoologist in the world. He goes about his business quietly. He works damn hard in the jungle. He's excellent. Michael, he stayed 10 years after that incident trying to capture images. It's just very rare and difficult to photograph. We're not sure why. We can kind of speculate about how it might behave in relation to trail cams, but that's just speculation. It doesn't matter a jot. The best we can do right now is try and establish its DNA. I take trail cams out there, sure, and we do the best to photograph it if we possibly can. You suffer when you're there. You're covered in leeches, you're covered in scratches. I've been hospitalized before now with tropical diseases because I've been there. It's been a chore, but I just feel like we're nearly there. I do.
Well, I applaud all the hard work you've done down there, and you're probably aware of a similar cryptid reported in South America, and I think the difficulty getting photographs is straight across the board for these cryptids. But I have to tell you, man, I'm very disappointed in this 1 second video clip that you and Lori have put up, and I'm just kind of curious as to why that you guys thought that was significant enough, because the majority of people seem to think that that's an explainable image.
Well, Phil, let me start by saying I don't mind if people think it's an explainable image. I'm totally fine with that. But I personally think it's a creature, and I'm cool if we disagree, and I'll explain why later if you like. But I think, what we've always done, and what was important to me, is that we freely share evidence that we find, and it was our view that it was something that we couldn't explain, that was worthy of an analysis and being shared out. Now, if you don't think that I'm totally fine with that, Michael, but I did. And so the best thing to do in that situation was to put it out there and ask people, what their views on it were and share information. So that was when Damien contacted us, and you know, he knows far more about film analysis than any of us do, so we shared that information freely. And from my point of view, I was interested in what it was. So, you know, what it was and what its motivation was. So that was why we shared it out, because I thought it was interesting. I thought when I looked at it, I couldn't explain what it was. I know people say it's all sorts of different things. I've had everything from it's a lump of plastic to a goat to all sorts of weird stuff. But when I looked at it, what I could see, to the best of my opinion, was what looked like a creature crouching down with a furrow down its back. So on that basis, I'm quite happy to share that out. Yeah, we did have a big discussion. I mean, it's fair to say about, oh God, we're going to get all sorts of flack about it. But I'm so interested in what it might be that we were prepared to take that just to see if there were people who could help us do that. And sharing the information was about finding people who could help us to understand it. I'm always fine with people having a different viewpoint to me. I am totally fine about that. I don't mind what people speculate. That's part of the interest for me. But I did think it was worthy of analysis.
I mean, I can appreciate, you know, releasing information. I think that's a really good thing. And like I said, everything I've heard about you guys in the past, you know, I thought you had carried a lot of cred. But I think, you know, I'm not just speaking for myself. I think I'm speaking for a lot of people that when you've got something that kind of looks like a person sitting at a picnic table, to make that stretch that it's something unexplainable, it's like you're really stretching there. I mean, can you see how maybe people could get that viewpoint?
Yeah, I can see how people could get their viewpoint, but I don't. You know, we need to talk about what happened, and I explained to you because I saw, you know, you posted on Team Taser, you thought it might be a person out on a picnic table. Well, all I can do is give you the version of events that I know. And again, you know, I'm totally cool if you disagree with me, but at that time, the only people sleeping by the campfire were Laurie and I. There was nobody else there. They were in bed in their respective tents. We put up camera traps because we'd heard activity, and Laurie had taken to the place where there was activity, this thing like tree knocking and other things. So we thought, and Laurie had suggested that we sleep out to see if we could bring something in. Exactly. Now, we did think there was a very slim chance of that, so we thought, we'll just put a couple of camera traps up and see what happens, yeah? But there was only us there, there was no beyond. There was no beyond.
Maybe we could draw it in by sleeping outside.
Yeah, so there's nobody on it. There's nobody sat on this picnic table. Everybody else is asleep in the tents when they're there. It's not somebody in a sleeping bag. There's some frequently asked questions on this, and I think Damien's done some analysis on that. But neither of us moved around at all in a sleeping bag, you know, at any point. Everybody else was asleep, and we had no idea those images were on the film until the next morning. In fact, we were a little bit blasé about it. We went, we had a coffee, we had a breakfast, and then we casually checked the camera traps, and we were all shocked. Absolutely shocked when those things came out. It was a massive surprise.
It's like even though we had activity from the moment we got there, we had no idea that we would actually capture anything on camera. We were all completely shocked to see anything on the photo.
Well, why would you have shocked to see anything on the photo when you
there was a creature that was leaning over me while I was asleep?
Laurie,
so Michael, I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion, Michael, but that wasn't, you know, and I can understand why you think that. And I would, in your position, appropriately challenge that in that way and say, do you think it might be this? I think that's totally fine. But I can tell you from the version of events, you know, that wasn't the case. It's a reasonable assumption, but because I was there, it's not a correct assumption about the facts, and that's very respectful.
Just curious, when I look at the photo sequence, it looks to me like Michael said, it does look like a person, and it actually looks like someone smoking. What would be your explanation of that frame?
Well, again, Laurie doesn't smoke, I smoke. But it would be in the middle of the night. I never had a cigarette at that time. And I think Damien in his analysis says that when you look at it, if somebody's smoking, a light cone would come on. when you smoke. I don't know enough. I'm not. Somebody said somewhere I was a world famous trail camera expert. I'm not. Yeah,
hey,
that's
maybe
why people like Damien do the analysis.
Adam,
I don't know enough about.
But you could clearly make out the muscle tone in the back.
Yeah, I mean, you can make out the muscle tone.
Maybe we just learned something new about Adam. Maybe we just learned that Adam sleep smokes.
Sleep smokes, yeah. I mean that becomes a stretch, you know. I mean, and also if you had a sleeping bag, if you look at it, it would have to be physically over the top of your head, which isn't possible with the sleeping bags you have. It's not, you know. All I can say is I really respect people who want to disagree with me. That's totally fine if they do it in the right manner. But all I can say to you is it's not. It can't be because of the sleeping bag design. It can't be because of the circumstances. Somebody else said I might be cupping it, cupping a cigarette with my hand, you know. Yeah. But no, none of those. That isn't what happened. That's why you know, from my point of view, we put the film out because I'm interested. What I wanted from Damien, and he'll know this in the private conversation. I think I nailed this with Ro. I wanted to try and understand what it may be because I was interested in its motivation and what it might be doing. Now, I have to say, you know, I accept that people will think this is a massive stretch. And I'm hugely sticking my neck out about this. I mean, I spoke to a couple of people about this, and I thought, it was like, oh, God, you know, when this goes up, I mean, and Laurie and I discussed it, we're going to get so much flack. But I am more than prepared to take that because I'm interested in what it might be, you know. And I think there's another...
I feel truly blessed I feel truly blessed that I let them in this area where my father researched for 28 years. I've been actively researching for the past 2 years. And we did capture a creature on photo and on video, and I feel truly blessed for that.
That's your opinion, Lori, that you captured a creature on.
And I know.
You captured something on there, but it's most people's opinion as a person.
I know.
A lot of people will say it's a person. But I think there's also another important point that we need to realize about this is that it didn't come from the trip when we were there. I think it's important to say that this is Laurie's dad's research. But Laurie gave me some hair samples that her father had found in the area in the locale. And again, because I have a good relationship with Professor Sykes, I've sent them for DNA analysis. And we will see what comes of those. So hopefully we can get some... Yeah. It's a fascinating area, guys, and as I say, it's the weirdest experience of my life.
Adam,
and I've been to some pretty weird places, but we can hopefully get some DNA off that.
Adam, I don't want you to get the impression that I think that you've always been doing this for a long time, and you quite likely there could be activity in that area. Here's the thing: like I would assume you're probably aware of the term Occam's razor, where the most reasonable explanation. Yeah. Is the most likely. That's all I'm going on. I mean, it could be a Bigfoot. Like I said, it could be a unicorn. It could be a shape-shifting alien. It could be a lot of things. But what it looks like to most people is a person.
Well, I understand that. I understand that you might say that. I mean, I understand, Michael, that you might say that. But all I can give you, I can say three things to that. Firstly, my personal account, having been there, is that it's not any of the things that people say could suggest.
But did other things happen there, Adam? I asked once. I said there must have been a backstory that we're missing. Was there other? Because you guys were there for like 10 days, right?
Yeah. If I may, let me answer that specific point because Laurie will talk about that as well. But because I think it's important, and I think you've raised a valid question. So, in terms of that, I know from those version of events that it's not a number of those things, and we've answered some of these questions as well. We've given specific points, like why it couldn't be this, why it couldn't be that. I mean, some of them are fanciful. And the point you mentioned about could it be an alien or whatever else, well, you hear some of this very weird stuff around Bigfoot, which is one of the reasons it took me 4 years to even think about coming here, frankly. But the other thing that is important is that the bête noire is to try and get independent evidence, scientific evidence that can be corroborated and tested. And we may well have that in the hair from this locale. So the image is personally fascinating. Will it? I'm not going to definitively say that all the events are interconnected, because that would be wrong for me to do. I can make some presumptions on that basis, but I can say, well, look, here's some potential hard science that we can analyze. But what I can say is, based on my experience, and I've been very careful, I think, not to say anywhere that it's a Sasquatch. I've used the term creature because I don't know what it is.
Just curious. Just curious, Adam. When you say creature, are you open to the idea that this creature could be something very well known to all of us already?
Well, it always could be, but I don't think it is because, again, from the activity, the only animals we had into camp, which was strange, we had a mouse into camp, which caused some entertainment one night because there's not much to do in the dark at night. But that was it, and the only other things anywhere near us were chipmunks.
Now,
there were no raccoons or bears or anything else.
I'm sorry to cut you off, sir, but on that subject of there isn't a whole lot of things to do in the dark. There has been another series of questions, which is in regards to the alcohol on the table. Could somebody in your group thought it was funny when they were drunk to pull something on you?
Again, that's a reasonable question, but absolutely not. No, I'm completely confident in the integrity of a lot of those people. To go through some of their backgrounds, for example, Simon spends a lot of his time debunking ghosts and things like that. Tim, so he's very skeptical as a starting point. That's what he does. He goes out and does these sort of things. He's genuinely a skeptic, and we've been through all of that, and with the rest of the group, most of them I've known for a long time. They're serious researchers. They don't want to put this stuff out unless they think it's worthy of analysis. They were really worried about it. So no, I'm sure that they wouldn't do that. There is alcohol on the table. We're all adults, and we had a drink at the end of the night, but it wasn't some riotous affair. And none of them, I am sure, would pull something like that. They would not.
One question that has come in as well. There's been a lot of issues about the trail cam that has been resolved. There was a coding problem which accounted for the missequence, apparently. But one person actually would like to know what wanted to know what the settings were on the trail cam. How was it set to go off?
Well, I think it was originally set. Again, it wasn't set by me, but I did investigate it, obviously, and it was set to go off as often as it could. But then it reverts to these factory settings, and I think Damien's done some analysis, and the guy from the Journal of the Bizarre, the FA, is posted on the frequently asked questions on the website, has done some analysis to confirm that what we said was true. He's confirmed the humidity and the weather conditions at the time, and that's all been explained. So, as you all know, like I'm sure you all know, that's why it resorted to its factory setting.
Laura, you've been we've kind of cut you out of the conversation. Is there anything you want to add to that?
That's okay.
Well, I want to say one point though that I found interesting is.
So what I was told is that it was set for like 2 minutes and not seconds, and so if it was set for seconds, then we would have had the whole thing.
The whole sequence. Yeah.
So I don't know how the camera was set. I didn't set the camera. But I did recommend a camera being placed in the campsite, and I helped them with other areas. The cameras were placed in a research area.
Gotcha. Well, you were about to add something, Damien? Oh,
and
I'm sorry,
also,
I'm sorry.
Well, I had the idea to sleep outside.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rather. Hello?
No, go ahead, Laurie.
Oh. Well, I had the idea to sleep outside rather than sleeping in the tent because I was hoping that we could draw the creature in because we did have activity from the moment that we did arrive. And I was shocked to find anything on the camera. So, in fact, the photo frightened me to the point that I didn't want to look at any other photos if they did capture another photo of the creature because I would want to go home. And as researchers, we decided to repeat our experience that night in hopes of capturing a photo of the creature's face. When it came down to it, I really didn't think I could do it. But I did. Adam and I, we stayed outside the following night, and the trail cameras were set up in different areas during the entire 10 days of our research. And other team members did take turns in sleeping outside. So we wanted to see if maybe that made a difference in hopes of capturing a photo of the creature. So, different ways trying to capture better photos.
Yeah, and on that point, so the second night, I mean, this is quite an amusing aside because we have, I mean, it was fairly intense, but we have laughed about this, Laurie and I. So Laurie goes straight to sleep, yeah, and bearing in mind what happened the night before, I'm awake thinking, oh no, I'm wide awake, now what's going to come around? It's like, oh, here we go. Because I'm used to staying out in the jungle. This is why it's so weird, because I'm used to staying out in the jungle with tigers and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I haven't got a clue what this thing is. Or what its behaviour patterns is. I have no reference point in any way how this thing might behave. And here I go. I'm lying down by a fire. Laurie's asleep. Everybody else in the tent. How's this gonna go down? So yeah. There we go. That's all I can say, guys. Well, I can only tell you.
Well, yeah,
Laurie can only tell you what happened.
Like you said, there's been.
I've been there on a regular basis, like building up the trust and this relationship.
And I think that's where a lot of these questions are coming from in regards to Laurie. Mm-hmm. I've had an opportunity to watch some of your videos, Laurie, and it seems like your research and your videos is more like emotionally driven. It isn't so much fact and science. You're not looking for hard evidence as much as an emotional reaction. And many would argue that that's not what research is. And then there's some people like that we've met and who have been on this show, that like Tom Control, who say, well, as long as you're hearing them in your head, it's research. So you got to understand that you got to understand the difficulty.
No, it's not
for
like
a lot of people out there when.
I mean, what do you think about it, Adam? You were there in my area. Well, do you think it's all in my head?
No, of course, I don't think it's all in your head.
Sounds and it's just in my head, or maybe it's tree knocking up above. It's a couple of trees. The activities that we've heard around us.
I don't think it's all in your head, but I can.
Not in my head.
Again, I can completely understand. I think the point you're making is make sure that there's scientific research behind this, and that's what I think I've talked about. I've talked about the fact that the hairs are going to be analysed. I've talked about free sharing of information because I'm generally interested in that. I've talked about how it's important we get things independently, scientifically corroborated, and that's the best we can do. Now, in terms of Laurie's relationship with it, when I went and she went to this area and she got these reactions, this tree knocking and all the other stuff that she gets, it was really strange. I think we all had to go and experience it personally in order to believe it. I think it's fair to say, because until everybody had that experience. Sorry.
I said, was that documented? The tree knocking, or these things that you encountered?
I think Laurie's got a sound recording, so that can be analysed. Yeah.
I have growls.
Yeah. There's several things that can be analysed in terms of tree knocking and growls. Yeah. So they can be got independently analysed. It is a massive. For me, it was personally a massive leap of faith that I had to take on this. I don't mind admitting it. And I said to Laurie at the time, when you take me up here. Afterwards, I've been checking what your feet are doing. I've been watching everything. We all did. And that wasn't because I didn't respect Laurie. I do obviously respect her, and I do believe in her. But it was, it was important that I went through that process myself, and I challenged her on it while I was there. And we all did. And we had a big discussion during it, because some of us had these strange experiences and others hadn't at the time, and we had debates until everybody had it. So I can completely understand how somebody might think, is that bull? And I've never had to go to Tom's point. I met Tom and he's a lovely man, but to go to Tom's point, I've never had anything happen in my head. Yeah, so not like that anyway.
Thank goodness, Adam. Adam, you said a
I've never had it.
I got to ask you, Sean Evidence is speaking up.
Yeah. I just want to get this. This is the last thing I want to get a point across here. Adam, you said that you made a leap of faith, and you seem like a really bright guy to me, and you're utilizing terms like science, and you're out trying to prove the existence of an unknown animal. And I'm sure you know that faith has very little to do, like nothing to do with science.
No, I mean in a metaphorical sense rather than a physical sense. What I meant was it was extremely hard for me to understand, given my background and experience, and that was why it was important for that you get that evidence scientifically analysed. It's hard to think, Michael. I never would have thought in a million years that we'd get a photograph. Just go with me on this. So my assumptions are correct. I never would have. I never would have thought. Humor me, Michael. Go for it.
I'm humoring you.
I never would have thought in a million years that I would get, as part of a team, a photograph of a creature on a campsite in America. I've been all over the world. If I wanted to do something, I mean, I've been to the Congo, man. I've stood at Lake Tele. If I wanted to crack off with daft photos, I could have done stuff, and nobody would have known. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to put something in a campsite in America. It is very weird, very, very weird, and that's why it's worthy of analysis. But I don't mean I don't have experiences like that ever before. Laurie seems to have, does have a strange relationship with this area based on her and her dad's 28 years research. That's all I can say. But I understand that the baseline has to be independent scientific evidence. So that's why I keep stressing it, and that's why I keep emphasizing what we're doing in terms of the analysis of it.
Excellent.
I got a question, Adam, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Sean, but I just want to get it out before I forget about it. And the thing is this: now, recently, have you heard about the recent macaque that was found in Florida and finally caught? Have you heard that story, Adam?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. I'm sorry.
Well, the story is, there's a macaque monkey that had escaped and lived out there for 4 years. So what I found interesting about that is that when you were talking about it, and I even wrote it in the article, when you were talking about that you thought it was a hominid, I just thought it was interesting and my question to you is, I mean, could it be possible that, what you think to you, what you thought it might be a hominid, that it could be an escaped primate? I mean, is that a possibility too?
It's always a possibility, but
the macaque lived for 4 years out in the forest. And why couldn't another primate do it too somewhere in Washington? Yeah,
it's always a possibility. And I've noticed with, for example, when I go to Sumatra, I'll give you a specific example. The monkeys at the lower altitude have shorter hair, and at the higher altitude they have longer hair because they've adapted to the cold. Yeah, so you can see primate activity adapting to different situations. But I think there, again, and I did consider that point, and I think it's a really good one. But I think there, what you're seeing. What there seemed to be was activity, not just from this one creature, but from other ones. So, for example, I mean, I wasn't familiar. I mean, when I spoke to Cliff out in Sumatra, he talked a lot about the tree knocking business. I mean, I know chimpanzees do that too, but so that's clearly primate activity. But what there seem to be several of these things. I wouldn't be able to say how many there were. There's no way you could guess, but I heard tree knocking going between one and the other in the locale. So it would have to be. I think this is where you become assumptive, Damien. But it would have to be more than one that had escaped at the same time. So that becomes intrinsically unlikely.
Okay.
Well, I got a question. You say you have like ghost hunters on your team, and these guys are. I'm
they're
sure
skeptics. They bust it.
Okay, and they try to debunk whatever they see when they're doing these ghost hunting trips, right? And that's what they do.
Try. Well, there was one of them who has that speciality, and his job is to debunk ghosts.
Yeah. So when you saw this photo, what's your first reaction? Is it like, oh, this is a creature, or do you say, is it a sleeping bag, or what was your first reaction? How did you arrive?
Well, I'll say my reaction, and then I think it's important Laurie says hers. My reaction was, what's that? Yeah, it was simply, what's that? Because I had no idea what it was. And it was what is that? Yeah, and then you go through all the possible permutations, and then there was a big debate about it. Yeah, so I can understand why people are having this debate now, because there was a big debate about what it might be, and we were really surprised. Yeah, I was wondering what it could, and then we were kind of thinking, well, have we got something? And then we went through it all. We talked about what happened in the night's events, but my first reaction was real surprise. It was like, oh my goodness, what is that? Because we used to look at trail camera images, and it was genuine surprise. Laurie?
Well,
what did you think?
I hadn't even had my cup of coffee yet, and the guys were sitting around the picnic table, and they're like, oh, Laurie called me over. They got something on the camera, so they're looking at the trail cam, and I went over there. Still hadn't had my cup of coffee yet, and looking at the photo, and there's something white leaning over the picnic table, and one of the guys was like, what was that, a ghost? So they put the camera card on Andy's camera, on his laptop. He has one of those little mini laptops, so we can look at the pictures on that, and it was very clear, and I'll never forget the moment I saw it on Andy's laptop. It was very clear. The muscles on his back was just massive, and the skin was tight, and it frightened me. That is what I remember, and I could only look at it for just a moment. So in your
experience, Laurie, this is what you would call a Bigfoot. This is the creature in the photo. It would be your judgment, your decision.
I can't say. I can't say that, yes, it is, because we still have to look at it as the scientific aspect, and we're still...
Right. Gotcha.
Analyzing evidence.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, again, the sample that Laurie's dad got in 2010 was from this locale, but hopefully we can pin down its DNA from that.
And that sample's with Brian Sykes, correct?
Yeah, exactly. just for all the people listening
in contact with him.
Excellent.
Yeah, and he's the world's leading geneticist. I mean, I went down to Oxford to meet him because, as Ro will know, with about the hair samples from Sumatra, I went down and talked about that because he wanted to interview me about them and the veracity of it. And all I can say is that when I got back, I phoned him and he's looking at it. And when Professor Sykes does something, right now it's £1,000 of his own time and money. Everybody is self-funded on this because they're really passionate about trying to get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, any other questions? I know there's some questions in the chat room still. Is there anything you care to add at this point in time, guys?
Yeah. I know Adam Davies. I seen. I heard about your work, and you've never really released any photos of a rampant deck or anything like that, because you've always been very careful about releasing these type of information.
I haven't released any photographs because I haven't found any.
Fair enough.
Sorry, say again.
Okay, so is anybody influencing you to say this is definitely a creature we caught here on the trail cam?
No, nobody's influencing me. And if anybody tried to influence me, I tell them to get lost.
All right. Well, I know that that subjects like this can tend to be a bit uncomfortable, and I apologize if we tread through it for too long, and I just want to get past it so we can go on to what I want to talk about, which is the next season of Finding Bigfoot and the episode that you're featured on. But before we get there,
hey, one thing I do want to say before we get on, and I want to talk about the sleeping bag thing, because another thing why I for me I think it's not a guy in a sleeping bag is because when you have most sleeping bags, I've never seen a totally white sleeping bag. I don't know anybody that goes camping. You guys that go camping, have you ever seen a totally white sleeping bag?
I'm sure they're out there, but
no,
I mean, Mike, have you ever seen a totally white sleeping bag?
But Damien, that photo does not
okay, but answer my question. I know that you're going to go about the photo, but answer my question. Have you ever seen a totally white sleeping bag?
I've seen white commode bags in the military, but generally no.
Okay, white commode bag. Okay, perfect. but it does have. But it's not totally white. It's a camo, the snow camouflage, and that's not totally white.
End of
I'll
story.
say no.
End of story. No
here.
white sleeping bags in existence. Must be a Bigfoot. That's it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is this. What I'm trying to say is this.
I'm glad you brought that up,
you guys may laugh.
What
I'm trying to say is this. Based on that factor, if there's not an old white sleeping bag, then the only thing it could be either a guy wearing something white, or whatever the figure is was totally
fantastical, Damien.
If it was a color,
we got
color, then it would show darker in the black and white photo.
I'm pretty sure
That's
it's a
what I'm trying to say
leprechaun,
with that.
Damien. It's a leprechaun, and they're magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have.
Now, can I talk though? Because you guys are making fun, and I'm trying to be serious
Go ahead,
though right now. And you had your chance to talk, but let me talk and make my point because what's the
Go
point
ahead, sir. It's all yours.
Now I'm being serious, and what I'm trying to say is, if it was a dark bag, if it was a white bag, then fine. But most sleeping bags are not white, and what showed there was totally all white that was on the floor and the picture. So, what I'm trying to say is either it was a shirt, because people are saying it was a sleeping bag. Then we can go to the routine. It wasn't a sleeping bag. Then it was a white shirt, or it's a white jacket, or it's a white whatever. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's the problem that I have with being a sleeping bag, like a lot of people are saying.
But Damien,
could it be something else besides a sleeping bag?
Yes.
That's what I want to go into. I think it
could be anything.
Something else.
There's not enough data there to determine anything. I mean, other than it's
okay. I got to ask you something, Adam. What did Dr. Meldrum said about this photo when you showed it to him?
Jeff said it was a small object in his opinion, but he wasn't able to determine what it was. But with Damien's analysis, Damien suggested it's not a small object. So, but and Jeff did stress the point he wasn't able to determine what it was, and that was it. So that's why. But from my point of view, all I can say is we've to the best of my knowledge, we've explored the sleeping bag scenario, and none of us wandered. There was only me and Laurie by the fire, and we didn't wander about with a sleeping bag. I can see it. I can understand why other people can't, but I can see a furrow. I can see musculature. There was a lot of activity in that area. Anything we do find is being independently, scientifically analysed by experts who have far better knowledge than us. Far better. So that's right. Kind of the best we can do.
So are you past this, Adam? Are you moving on to other things? This is out there. You just put it out there. It's Extreme Expeditions contribution at the moment, and you're just moving on. Or are you going to work on this case further?
I think mm-hmm. I can only speak as an individual. I mean, Extreme Expeditions isn't some sort. It's not some sort of force. Everybody's an individual, and they do what they want. It's their own time and their own money. They all pay to go themselves, and they do what they want. It's certainly extremely interesting, but yeah, we haven't got past the first. The last couple of weeks, I work full time, and when I've not been working, I've been dealing with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't, I barely even thought. I saw my daughter on Saturday, and I haven't, had any time with my kids, let alone anything else. So. Okay. The answer, I'm giving you a nebulous answer because I haven't got an opinion yet.
I would like to ask you about Lawrence Coleman. He did post something about your photo. I didn't get a chance to see that article, but did you read the article before it was taken down, Adam?
Yeah, well, I did. You see, the thing about that was, I don't mind. It wasn't Lauren's specific post. It was posted by some other guy, and I can't even remember his name.
Was it Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he's in the chat channel right now. He's listening to you, so if you want to say something.
Yeah, well, the thing that I didn't like about that was I don't mind people having different opinions, but what he did on that was he posted up. I'd never had any contact with him, and he posted up photographs with hoaxer underneath, which made us look. He looked like one of those wanted posters from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the club.
Just so you know, Adam.
was unreal.
Am I Indio? And is this
No,
like
you
true,
made it with
you
it.
know?
Put you on a poster.
Look, Steven is in the chat channel. He's saying, what are the scientific credentials of Adam Davies? So he's going at you. He's like a bulldog, a pit bull right now.
Well, that frankly,
You know what?
that's go on, Laurie.
My father's reputation was golden, and I would never do anything to tarnish his reputation. And there's no need to invent any stories, and my real life experiences are far surpassed anything I could ever make up or imagine.
I don't think anybody in our group.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody in our group questions your dedication, and certainly we're not questioning your father's contribution whatsoever. He obviously has contributed quite a bit, and he's ready, and that's not what this is about. We're talking about this specific event and how it's been perceived, and giving you a chance, a floor to speak, on this piece of evidence behalf.
Yeah, no, and I
think you're
understand
doing
that.
fine.
And there's a big difference. I think there's a big difference in approach. Yeah, I understand the questions that have been asked by you guys in this forum have been appropriate and well put. But there's a big difference between that and putting up a poster that makes you look like some sort of Wild West cowboy.
So would you like to
ridiculous.
address Mr.
You know what
Steven
I mean?
Strufert? He's demanding your credentials. As would, I mean, I know a lot about you, like I said, and I know you've got 15 years in the field and you've contributed quite a bit. But why don't you explain to everybody who's listening, and we can put that out there, and if there's questions about it.
Yeah, absolutely, I will do. I have always said I am not a scientist. Yeah, I am interested in gathering independent. I don't have a science degree. I am interested, but what I do is work with scientists who are credible, and I give that evidence over for them to independently analyze. I have never ever said, and you can check any of this, that I am anything other than what I am. I am somebody who is passionately believed, particularly with the orang pendek, in its existence. And I am there to try and hand that evidence over. And because we've worked well with scientists, then that's what's happened. You know, with Hans Brunner all those years ago, some of his colleagues said, well, you know, why are you analysing this evidence? And you know, he said, well, it's important that scientists do take back information from field researchers so that it can be analysed. And I don't make scientific assumptions. I do the best I can with the research I've got, and then it's for scientists to analyse. So that's the bottom line. I'm gathering information for people to independently, scientifically analyse. And there's a big difference between, and that's important. And, you know, I've never had any contact with this guy, and he's putting up posters, man.
I don't think it's appropriate for anyone to be called a hoaxer, unless they've admitted to hoaxing. You know, we get called hoaxers.
We get called it all the time.
They have no evidence.
Yeah,
I've been called a hoaxer.
Yeah, and it's a worry, guys. You know, from your point of view, it's a worry because we did have a big debate before we went about you know, whether we should step into this field, simply because there's a lot of vitriol about if you go anywhere near North America with people arguing, and I was told.
But Adam, do you know why that is?
I didn't know this.
Do you know why that is?
No.
There's this divide, I think, between the people that believe it's possibly a biological creature and these other people that believe a bunch of crazy nonsense that, you know, it can do mind speak and it can telepath and it's got interdimensional tunnels to other planets. That, I think, is where the venom comes from, that split, that divide.
Well, I'm only about proving it's a biological creature. Let me say that. I mean, I'm not. I don't think it's come from UFOs and stuff like that. I do think Laurie I believe in Laurie, and I respect her. I do think she has some strange relationship there, which I can't explain. But that's irrelevant to proving the science. That's just a personal viewpoint. And the grounding has to be, can we get some science out of these things? It's always about that. Anything else?
Why don't question your credentials? The fact is, knowing all the expeditions you've gone on, I think your credentials and the work that you've done in the jungle speaks for itself. Personally, for me, and Laurie, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, because from what you tell me about your dad, I mean, I live a similar lifestyle to that, and your dad sounds like a competent woodsman, but I just wonder, they're asking Adam for his credentials. What credentials do you have? And I don't mean like your dad. I mean, do you have any education, any, training that would enable you to go out into the forest and be efficient at collecting and reporting accurate data back? That's my question. Lori?
Well, I've always gone into these parts of the forest with my father since I was 6 years old, and I'll continue to go back.
Yeah, but what I'm asking for is, do you have specific training, some credentials?
I don't have any training, scientific tests. No, but any evidence I do obtain, I hand that over to the scientists that are trained to analyze.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good thing. But see, you've said, I've read some of the stuff that you've written and some of the stuff that you put out there, and like you make a lot of claims. And for me, I'm not saying that these claims are not necessarily accurate, but for myself, as a scientist, science-minded, I like to have that data. I like to have something to back that up. You can't just make claims and expect people to believe that without substantiating it with some evidence.
Well, I think Michael. I think Michael. With this, all I can say is with this, hopefully we do have something that can be substantiated, and the bet now has to be the DNA. The point I was going to make before you asked Laurie the question was that all of this stuff, all of this speculation, I'm fully aware because I've had it with the orangutan deck, and I discussed it with Cliff when we were out there. All of it becomes irrelevant in the long run. What matters is something hard which we're trying to work to.
No, you're absolutely right, Adam. But like, if you were to come to me and tell me that orang pentag lived in tunnels underground, Damien's going to love this, and makes tea with little teapots, I'd ask for some supporting evidence to substantiate that claim. And Lori has made the claims that Bigfoot lives underground and lives in these caves, and I haven't yet seen that substantiated, amongst other claims.
I've tried with sharing my YouTube videos, and really, it's just...
Yeah, well...
I took Adam and his team there and shared that experience with them, and by sharing that experience with them, I guess it makes you a believer that you are in the forest where the creatures do exist. I'm not saying it's Bigfoot. I'm saying there is a creature that does exist in these forests, and through my experience, I can only share with you, and you can choose to believe.
And I think that's the point that Michael's making.
I'm building a trust with these creatures that are unknown, and I'm continuing to go back.
See, Lori, there you make another statement.
Continue to share.
You're making a statement that you built a relationship with creatures, and we can't establish yet that they're real. But you're making that as a statement. Like, I'm not questioning the fact that you're going into the woods and doing stuff, Lori. All I'm saying is that, you need... Adam seems to me to be the type of guy that is looking to collect hard evidence that people can then look at. And, like Rose said, you're kind of coming at this from an emotional standpoint. And that's not to say that your experiences aren't valid, but it's very difficult to back those up. And when you make a statement of fact that you're building a relationship with these creatures, I would like to have some supporting evidence, hard evidence. It's not a matter of belief for me. Like, belief doesn't factor into this. Whether I believe a chemical reaction is going to take place has zero bearing on whether it's going to occur or not.
How would you like for me?
Yeah, I think.
How would you like for me to support that evidence?
Well, I'd like to see the pictures of the caves. You keep talking about they live in caves. I mean, how do you know that? Do you have photographs of the caves with Bigfoot in them, or?
Adam, do you want to help me answer that question? You've been to my area.
Yeah, I think in that area, I understand the question, but I think in that area,
I don't understand how can I prove what I'm experiencing. How can I?
I think I understand the question. I think what this was all of this stuff was a surprise to me personally. But I do believe in Laurie, and I have experienced these things, but it needs more research. I do understand that, and I understand the question.
I like you, Adam. I like you a lot, man.
Well, you know what's interesting, Adam? Damien had mentioned that your camera, the time was wrong. The time's wrong.
Mm.
And the camera stopped working before the creature walked into the camp. Is that true?
I think Damien knows more about the cameras than I do, and I think there's a guy. All I can say is there's a guy who, from the Journal of the Bizarre, he's on the Frequently Asked Questions, who's been through all that analysis and explained it properly. All I can say is it defaulted to its factory settings. I am not, as has been alleged, a world famous camera trap expert.
No.
I'm flattered by it.
That's what I've been saying. Wait a minute, I was wrong. I've been saying that the whole time.
Gee.
I've been calling it expert. I can set a camera trap. You know, one of the guys.
Where did you get it from? I was thinking Adam Davies is a doctor of philosophy of trail cam expert.
He's an expert now, Sean. Now that we've said it, he's an expert. He'll never shake that.
Wait a minute.
You've got a PhD now, Adam.
What's your proper title? I mean,
Well, what I'd like to say...
When I saw that... Go on, what did you want to say, Laurie?
What I'd like to say is,
I
may not have the scientific aspect that you're looking for, but for me, I'll just continue to build a relationship with them, and I see Jane Goodall as my idol.
Oh, good grief.
And
Lori, maybe I'm being too hard on you.
Go into the
Like
areas
a nice girl, but I've had
and
other
through the female.
Let me step in for a sec. Let me step in for 1 second here. I'm not a researcher. I'm a filmmaker. I go out into the woods with hunters and researchers, and I come back. And Michael is a scientist, a lifelong scientist who works in the fields every single day. So when I come back and tell Michael, dude, this is the experience that I had, and he's like, well, that doesn't make sense, Ro. I deal with this on a daily basis, okay? I deal with this on a fucking daily basis. So what I have to do is document everything the best I can, which it sounds like Lori is doing. But what I also do is I remove myself emotionally from everything that comes into play. I deliver the facts as best as I can collect them, and then it is up to the scientific community to make proper analysis of that evidence, and I can't refute that with emotion. I just have to wait. I have to just...
How can I deliver? Okay, I'm just asking you. I was up there last week with a friend, and we walked down to the through the forest, and we were walking on the gravel road, walking down towards the river, and could clearly hear a large creature walking a matter of feet behind us, still hidden in the forest. How can I present to you that hard evidence that actually happened?
You have to continue to document your experiences.
What I can do is just continue.
Yes.
Exactly, and that's what I'm doing, and that's
Lori,
what I'm
are you
doing.
recording your events?
Who would you like for me to report those events to?
Well, no, it's good to record them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm recording them.
And
I'm documenting.
What I'm saying is the event in terms of like
Absolutely.
if you're walking down to the river and and you had an experience like that, well, the next time I would take a camera or something or have a friend and do the same, try to duplicate it and see if something happens again and record it.
Well,
or just have I know it's difficult. I'm not saying that you're going to be able to do it every time. But one thing I did want to say to you, I like the cave thing. So whatever the guys sell you,
I
like that.
Big fan of cave
thing. So I support you totally with that, Lori, with the cave.
Thank you.
Lori, I think Adam could probably...
the opening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Adam is out collecting body of evidence for this.
I know where several possible dens are in one of my areas. And how do I know this? I guess you'd have to be there.
I think that's...
I have put YouTube videos up, and people think it's a groundhog or it's a tree.
I would just...
But if you were there and you experienced the intensity, you would know I am telling the truth.
You would be telling the truth about an experience. What that experience is would have to be delivered with data, hard data. at some point in time. And I'm not taking away from your personal experience. Everybody has their own personal experience that are just as real as the next. But what we can put into the books and what we can say responsibly, publicly, should be determined by what kind of scientific facts we can pull from the data at hand. And I think that's the point.
Well,
I think that's the point. It's not saying, I think, making your videos and putting them out there, nobody's faulting you for that. I don't think that's the issue whatsoever. You continue to document your experiences. But if you make it, the more the better. The bigger the claim, the bigger the rebuttal you're going to receive publicly. So just be prepared for it. That's all.
Yeah, Lori, if you're really onto something here, keep posting videos. Like my only thing is when you say they're building a relationship with somebody and then you compare yourself to Jane Goodall, and I hate to put you in the groups with the habituators, but other people have made those claims, and Jane Goodall had crystal clear photographs of these critters, this close. And, I mean, really that's what you're going to need, either a body of work or a body in a...
Well, and when I say I'm building a relationship with them, I'm trying to get them to come out of hiding of the trees and trust me even more.
Well,
because when I'm there, I know that they're around me, and that's what I'm doing.
Lori's not saying she's habituating them, though, at least.
Well, that must be my
confusion. That's one thing I like about her. She's not saying, oh, I'm habituating the creature, which that also pisses me off to hear when people say, oh, we're habituating Bigfoot. Okay,
I hope you're the one, Lori, you or Adam or us, somebody, to bring this thing out to the light or put it in a box. I really do,
Well, I think your point. I think your point about. I mean, I'm banging on about this because I think it's the most important scientific point. I do understand. Laurie's doing a lot of good research, and she sincerely believes in all of this, and I back her 100% on this. And I know it's difficult, but it is, in my opinion, genuine. So what happened next? Well, when I was down at Oxford with Professor Sykes, we discussed this, and the bottom line is I do understand the bête noire. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and that's what you're suggesting. Yes. So what you're suggesting is more documentation and more research about these things, and that's because this, for me, is such a unique experience. That's what we need to do. I can't even spell the words. It's amazing in this situation, and it is, the biggest shock of my life.
I really like you, Adam. I'm glad you came on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind.
You've redeemed yourself.
Just do us all a favor, Adam, and don't watch his second video that he put out yesterday.
Yeah, don't watch my videos.
Don't watch it. He said some things about you that I don't think you'll like.
I've seen it. No, I've seen it. Michael, just so you know, right, Michael,
you've got a spine, Adam.
I was watching it with Anthony, right, and we're both from the north of England, yeah, and Anthony's not remotely, he's my housemate, he's not remotely interested in any of this, yeah, so we're watching it together, right, and he doesn't give a stuff, he's into cars, he's not into cryptozoology or anything like that. He goes, man, that guy called you a Cockney. You're from the north of England. They're from London. How can he call you a Cockney?
Good times, good times.
That was all he cared about. He's going, we're the Northerners. We're Northerners, man.
Good times. Well, Lori, I hope you still consider us friends. We're just having a conversation here and whatnot.
Absolutely. I do appreciate you having me on your show
I would
today.
invite you to hang on while we talk to. I would like to ask Adam a little bit about what's been going on in the orang pendek world, and as well as as what he did with this next season of Finding Bigfoot. Adam, the floor is yours, sir. Let's shift gears for a bit.
Okay.
What did you do with the crew from Finding Bigfoot this year?
Oh, I had a great time with them, and we did. I did like them. I mean, I heard you heard. I hear a lot of this stuff about it might be difficult or whatever else, but I really like
Americans. Just say it.
No, I like Americans.
Americans.
I like Americans. I know, I like them. I like America. I tell you what, I like America. I like your food, man. Everything. I've been eating fish heads for years. I come over and there's a burger, and it's not just a burger; it's like a massive burger. It's like we laugh about the silliest things. So we're like, on the way back, we went to McDonald's, and we're all sat in the car, and Laurie must be thinking, what are these British guys like? Because going, God, they have cream on their milkshake and a cherry. It's like, wow. Yeah, no, I loved it, and I loved Seattle. I thought it was a beautiful city.
Town.
I had a great time. Everyone was lovely with us. And there's some really quizzical things. So me and Laurie are driving to. We're driving down to the hardware store, and this guy, he's like dressed like the guy from ZZ Top. He's got this long jacket on and this long beard and shades and a hat, and he goes, "Hey, mister, where you from? You're tall, funny." And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I had a great time. It was wonderful. And the finding Bigfoot crew.
Here's my question. Here's my question, Ed.
I took Cliff out into
Here's
the
my
jungle
question
proper.
for you. Did you get them to actually hike? Could you get? You did.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Because you only go 50 feet from where they're at, actually. That's what I think.
Yeah, I did. You see, the thing about Sumatra is, right, there's nowhere, it's a ball buster, because there's nowhere that's flat, yeah? So you hike or you stay.
Did they use the word squatchy at all while they were filming?
I don't know. I mean, I really like Bobo, yeah. But the only time I was annoyed was when, because the food. I love Sumatra. I love the people, but the food's shit. So there's no other word for it. It's like, it's just dreadful. And every time you have a meal, you think, am I gonna be on the bog, on the loo for the next 2 days after I've eaten this? I've been sat there and cockroaches have crawled across the table and nobody else has batted an eyelid apart from me. But Bobo got some pizzas one time over from Padang, and it was like 7 hours. I was like, I so want some pizza, because I was staying in the house when we weren't in the jungle, and I was staying with the crew, and he didn't leave me any, and I was livid. That was the only time I was annoyed. So yeah, they were nice guys, and I mean, it's very hard to go into the jungle. I'm sure Michael knows, because I know he's done this himself. But it's very hard to go into a jungle when you're completely new to an area. And when the first few days when we were there, it was atrocious weather. It absolutely belted it down. So rained really, really hard. And it was so bad that we were sleeping in a pondock, which is a traditional shelter. And we were sat opposite one another, and we were having to shout to one another because it was so bad. And, we got leeches. I walked into the jungle the next day, and I had 6 leeches on me within the first 5 or 10 minutes. And Cliff, to his credit, stuck it out and did not bat an eyelid. So, massive respect to him. He did really well.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right. The chat room is really pissed off at us right now. I just clicked over on it, and we didn't ask one question from the chat room. And I hope you guys don't mind. We're going to start taking questions from the audience right now. Is that cool? All right. Audience,
yeah, sure.
where are the questions that you're bitching about? Okay.
Oh, that's a great way to start off.
These fucking news.
Yeah, they love us even more now, bro.
We love our fans.
Wind them up, bro.
Now they get all fucking quiet. I asked for questions an hour ago, and now they're all fucking quiet. They bitched about it. All right.
You probably asked them all.
Let's see. So let's see. Really?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't see any questions.
Yeah, they want to know if there were any footprints, if you looked for footprints after the sighting the next morning.
We did after we saw the video, but the ground was rock hard. I don't know how long it had not rained for, but it was baked. There was no way you could find footprints. We did find footprints on the beach, but they weren't on the same day. We need to get those analysed, because I'm not sure about the possibility of cross-contamination on those. And we haven't got round to that yet. That's the short answer. So we did find we did find. I'm always suspicious of prints on a beach because they can be cross-contaminated. Do you know what I mean? It's a big leap. So the ground's too hard by where we slept. But we did have a scan. We did look for it. On the second night when we slept out, we sort of brushed the surface, and nothing came in that day.
Okay, let's get this question out of the way. Somebody keeps asking me, is Adam Davies a smoker?
Yes, I'm a smoker.
Do you smoke in your sleep?
Okay, so there you go.
Smoking in my sleep, cupping my hand while dressed in a sleeping bag.
Okay, this next question is for Lori.
Yeah. No, it's an invisible zebra.
This next question is for Lori. Why have all your videos been set to private, Lori?
Because of the research area. I just thought it showed too much of where it was. But I'll continue to make more videos.
You got to have a thick skin, girl. We just so you know, almost everyone on this panel has received a death threat already. The Bigfoot. No, I'm not.
Trust me, I've received.
Not joking.
Oh yeah. I better watch
not
out.
joking. You just have to have thick skin. People are crazy.
We're doing this sort of research.
Adam, the Bigfoot community, they're crazy. Bunch of crazy
we're not talking about
Okay, Sean, that's another help for the
I just lost
Adam,
like
I am not kidding. I am not kidding
there.
when I tell you this.
That is lunacy, man. What's going on there?
Oh, Adam, didn't I tell you? Yeah. People tell me to watch out.
You told me that tomatoes.
Bigfoot is no joke here. It's gangster style.
Yeah, this isn't your Sumatra community, or we are.
No, they're all civilized.
Community. You know, I don't know what's going on in
the Orangutan community is civilized, darling. They don't do things like this.
You guys are like drinking tea.
Damn it all, man! We have nuclear weapons.
You know, sharing spotted.
Yeah, you rough Americans, you shooting one another and shit. No.
But we got good food.
We got good food over here.
no, I like him. I had a great time in America.
So Lori, unprivate your videos, but you got to have thick skin. That's just coming from another fellow video maker. And
I made some of those private because I felt that you could tell exactly the area.
Then
that's why. But I'm going to continue to make new videos.
So the next question is also for Lori. With all your experiences with the sounds and the communication and your relationship building, what makes you certain that it is actually Bigfoot without the actual sighting?
I don't know exactly, but I'm working on finding that out.
Any other questions? And you don't smoke. Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, I don't.
Was there any I missed, Sean?
No.
Oh, does anybody else on the team smoke?
I don't know.
What are we doing here? Are you gonna ask for who they're voting for?
I don't know anyone who has a massive back like that. You, Adam?
I'm just asking. Maybe I was asking questions from the chat room.
On my newsfeed on Facebook, it's all this Obama Romney stuff, and it's like I just don't care. Just do your election, people.
Okay, here's another question from Tim Cook. Is this all a marketing scheme for extreme expeditions?
No, we haven't even got a bank account, man. Everybody
Adam, you need to sell T-shirts, man. There are millions in T-shirt sales.
Oh yeah,
trust us.
Now,
Bobo gave me a necklace while I was there of a Squatch, and he said, Adam, the chicks will love it.
Yeah, dude. Chicks will love it, dude. Okay, what are the factory? Someone wants to know. Our fellow team member Phil Pauling wants to know what the factory settings are on that camera. He has a specific reason for asking, and we'll find that out.
I don't know the factory settings. I think what I can say is that the Journal of the Bizarre, if you go to the Extreme Expeditions website,
links to it there.
there's some frequently asked questions, and it was independent. It's not done by us. They give the factory settings, and they've done the breakdown of analysis. So he can look at that, and it explains it all fully.
And you can verify, because you can also go under. And sorry to cut you off, Adam. You can go to the webpage for the camera itself, and they do talk about it and about the error it was having and the settings. So if you want to, and, I just when I wrote that article, it was just too big, and I just couldn't put every single little detail in it. But you can verify by going to the links that are on there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you probably know more about it than I do. I mean, I think it's fair to say, in my assumed role as world famous camera trail expert Adam Davies, I don't know.
Doctor
of trail cam fame.
I'm going to refer to you that in my videos, Doctor. I'm going to call you that.
And
absolutely.
So we can find out if it was an IR. It's an IR cam, correct? If you don't know the answer to that, we.
Yeah, you can see it all, because they did a really good job. I mean, the Journal of the Bizarre, because what they did, and what they do is that they said, well, we regularly debunk stuff, and they said that everything that they've said is absolutely correct. They checked the detail, they checked the weather conditions, they checked the humidity. They did all of those things independently, and then they...
Yeah. Okay, well, excellent. We are about to wrap this up, guys. I want to thank you so much, Lori and Adam, for coming on the show today and having the balls to come on and do your thing. We played nice, I think. I think people were looking for us to come in and fight, but hey... we don't roll like that. Adam and I still have another video to work on, so he has to stay my friend a little while longer.
Right for the juggler.
Well, for sure. People cannot say they wouldn't ask the tough questions.
I thought our relationship was based on more than shallow videos. I'm gutted, man.
Shallow videos and hamburgers, dude. So, you got anything you want to plug? After all, this is a big marketing ploy. So you want to plug anything while we're on the air?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. With my extensive offshore bank account in like all these countries.
Where can we find you online?
Yeah, and a T-shirt.
Okay, but do you have a website where people can find you?
Yeah, people can have a look at the Extreme Expeditions website. There's also some stuff on Facebook as well, Extreme Expedition stuff. They can look at that, and obviously Laurie has her book, I guess.
I think Adam's getting sick because he's standing in the rain, so we made him stand out.
I tell you what, I am wet. I am wet through.
Well, you're used to that. You're a rainforest guy. We just brought you home. That's all.
Yeah, I'm used to it. It's wet clothes, dry
Lori,
clothes.
Is there some place where the online following here can find you and ask you questions? Is there...
TrackingBigfoot.wordpress.com is for the book, and there's a lot of interesting photos and articles on there. They can find me on Facebook. So
that was trackingbigfoot.wordpress.org, correct? Oh, I'm sorry, .com.
.com. Mm-hmm. And the book donates $1 for every book sold to cancer research to save more lives. My father lost his battle to cancer. So
best wishes to you and your family, and our condolences on your loss there at Bigfooting World. We'll definitely miss him. Yeah. Damien, something you wanted to add?
Yeah, definitely. Laurie, we need to talk about the cave, me and you.
Damien.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the cave, Laurie. I don't care what you guys say. Don't listen to them, okay? I believe the cave theory is true.
Damien.
All right?
Damien loves the cave.
Do you want to have this experience, Damien?
Michael, anything you want to add to our conversation here?
One day we'll head out there. That's the plan.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Adam Davies and Lori Simmons both for coming on the show. I really enjoyed talking to both of you guys, and I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you very much,
great.
Michael.
So everybody knows where to find you guys online. You can find the Extinct podcast at TheBigfootReport.com. Go to iTunes, download us, hit the subscribe button, press 5 stars. You can also go to TaserBigfoot.com where you can find more info on the team. And in addition to that, you can find our very cool little sassy, glassy, frassy, Sasquatchy thingy-jings that hang around our neck right there. Go there.
Right here, these things.
Go
right
there.
There
Order
we go.
one.
Great.
I forgot
Order
mine
one.
today, but yeah.
Each one is custom made. Each one is unique. So they're lots of fun. On behalf of Extinct the Podcast, let's find some music, guys, and say bye-bye to everyone. Let's get funky. Play some disco for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam Davies. Thank you, Lori Simmons. We are Team Taser. We'll talk to everyone later.
Thank you. Have
Bye,
a
all.
great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.